said, I'm glad to be back in this magnificent spot for the first time since I came to the dedication. And I'm just one of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of people who, in their own way, will find some way to say thank you and goodbye to Billy Graham. When I was 11 years old, 60 years ago, my Sunday school teacher, a wonderful man who drove a bread truck for his day job, took me and another couple of kids in our class to War Memorial Stadium in Little Rock, Arkansas for Billy Graham's crusade. I was so excited for reasons that are too often lost to history. The year before, Little Rock Central High School had been integrated. The town was, and the state were in turmoil. The next year, some people were so resistant they closed the schools, and the White Citizens Council tried to get Billy Graham to preach to a segregated audience. And he said that God didn't see us that way, and if that were going to be the rules, he would have to cancel the crusade and tell people why he did it. And they folded quick. And so when I came there, it wasn't, as I remember, in the newspaper, but everybody knew. And the whole state had been torn up. And we had an unusually significant number of African Americans there that week because they all knew, too, what stand he had taken. And when he gave the invitation, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people came down in tears together, it had a profound effect on me. And I never knew if I'd ever get to meet Billy Graham. I just was a kid. Then 30 years later, he came back to Little Rock, and I was the governor. And he had had a long relationship with the man who was the pastor of my church who didn't have long to live. And he wanted to go visit him, so I took him to visit him. Not before a vast crowd, but in a tiny living room of a Baptist preacher with a very modest income. I listened to him talk to an old friend about faith and life and death. It was also one of the most memorable experiences of my life. So I'm just here as another person, grateful. I have read the many things that contemporary people have said, some laudatory, some not so laudatory. I saw a story today saying, you know, if you're a preacher, you got to be careful getting too close to those politicians. I agree with that. But don't forget, those of us who are Christians believe in a God of second chances, and the politicians need those more than anybody else. So you got to cut him a little slack for trying to give a willing ear and an open heart without regard to his political preferences. Hillary and I were glad to have him in the White House a couple of times, but mostly I was glad to see that in that little room, he was the same person I saw when I was 11 at that great big football field. And I think that says a lot. I think he was a profoundly good man who conveyed a simple belief that we can claim kinship with God by asking. And that while we all believe that it's faith plus nothing, he wasn't faith plus nothing. He lived. He showed his faith by his works and by his life. And for me, Every time I think about him, I'll be 11 again. Having no idea how my life would turn out. Grateful that in that one moment when it would have been easier not to do it, he actually lived his faith. So, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.